Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, this is a huge day. You are viewing my conclusion video, which means you are almost done with your final essay for my class. So you're watching this because you need ideas for conclusions. Once again, you've come to the right place. I have a worksheet that I think rather than me go on and on and on right now, why don't I just put up the worksheet because you want to get this done and I want to help you. So quickly, let's open it up. All right, here we go. So here are some ideas for your conclusion. You can do any of the following or combination of them if you want, but it's probably better to just do any one at a time. You can ask some provocative questions relating to your thesis. Provocative just means thought-provoking. So what questions can you ask about vampires to the people, to your audience, right? I don't want to give any ideas because I don't want to write it for you. I'm just going to tell you. You can ask some questions. You can answer those questions a little bit as well. Go into detail about what you mean by the questions themselves by asking even more. You can evoke a vivid or powerful image dealing with your thesis. I mean, think about vampires. Think about how much you see them everywhere. And you can't really get away from them, whether it's cartoons, whether it's television shows, whether it's movies, whether it's poems, or we find out short stories and novels. I mean, heck, Dracula. Everybody in the world knows about Dracula. You could talk about that. You could call for some sort of action by your reader or humanity regarding the legend itself. How about comparing it to other situations that occur in life? That's a hard one, but I have seen people do it and it can work. How about suggesting results or consequences dealing with the whole idea of vampirism, believing it or not believing in it? Let's not forget that there are a lot of people out there who are in these vampire clubs, filing their teeth down, drinking blood, like pig blood, cow blood, stuff like that. Ew, gross. Hanging out at their local vampire club so that they can pretend to be it. That's how much it's, infiltrated our society and some people's minds. How about ending with a warning of some kind? So those are all some cool ideas that you can do. And if you did that, expand on it for a paragraph and then finish off by talking about vampires again for a sentence or two, that you really can't get away from them. They're very prevalent and they will always be so. At the rate they're going, they're not going anywhere. And you're done. All right, but there's some more ideas. Ready? Check this out. Just like in your introduction, you can conclude your essay by just going big picture again, right? Rather than focusing on or restating any of your main ideas again. So here are some more ideas. Some of them are the same as they were in the introduction worksheet. Some of them are actually new. This one is new. You can talk about the effect this legend has had on so many cultures and people throughout history. OMG, we talked about this when you did your cultural origins research, that all these cultures, thousands of years ago, right? They had no direct contact with each other. There's no fax machines. You guys don't even know what a fax machine is. God, I'm still saying fax machines. There was no texting. There was no emailing, right? You didn't have any of that. But yet they all have similar legends, all very close to the vampire legend. Very strange. A lot of them are very almost completely the same, like as far as they would use seductive younger people to seduce people into them and get them that way, or some of them have them using babies to get them in, or little kids. Some of them have them where they're eating babies and little kids or women. God, what else do we have? A lot of them hanging from trees and whatnot and getting them. A lot of them, almost all of them have to deal with death. And by the way, death I think that might be on my list. We'll see. Yeah, it is. I'll go into that in a minute, but I don't want to go into it right now. So the idea of all the cultural origin connections and that it really has affected people through any culture. I said it before about Dracula. Everybody has heard about Dracula in probably every culture. You could walk around and ask 10 people in any city, and I bet you at least 2 from every city would know that Dracula was a vampire. They would have to tell you in their language, but they would. How about the fact that just everybody also knows about vampires, even if it's not Dracula, although most people would say that Dracula is like the archetype. Archetypes are things that you can use as examples for an idea. And everybody, when you're describing vampires to people, everybody says Dracula, right? So you could talk about that, right? How about this? Whether it is true or not, It's definitely entertaining, right? Entertaining people for years. That's what has kept it, popular for so long. Boom. Church connections for sure. A lot of people go to church. Church is being religious is a very important thing to people, and it's so intertwined with religion that might be a reason why it has stayed on and why it would continue to do so. There it is right there. The fascination or fear about death and the afterlife. I mean, people are fixated with death. A lot of people, not all people, but a lot of people are fixated. They're very nervous about it. They're very worried about it, specifically as they get older. Maybe that has had an effect on why this legend has continued. The age adaptability of the legends. Of course, that there's something for all ages. I've talked about this. You have cartoons for the kids. You have teenager stuff like your Twilight, which isn't very not very bloody and violent, but it's certainly very romantic and, lovey-dovey. But then as you move on into some of these movies, I mean, there's some crazy movies out there. I can't think of any right offhand. What's the one, 30 Days of Night, where the vampires are scary. They're not like, very nice and you want to go on a date with them. You're running for your life and they're catching you because they're fast and they're powerful. So the age adaptability of the legend is something for everybody. How about also the adaptability of the story itself? Certainly lent it the ability to continue on. The romantic tension of the legend that's intertwined with it. I mean, a lot of people have romantic tension themselves, right? They have a hard time believing that they're romantic or finding a spouse or a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and they can find some of that. They can relate to that in the Legend of the Vampire, or they can find things that they can't have in the Legend of the Vampire and kind of like fantasize about it, right? How about started as a cause that science could not answer? Gosh, that's such a good one, right? The idea of, remember when we did the research on the idea that they didn't understand a lot of diseases back in the day, 1800s, because doctors didn't know anything. Think about this. They used to take blood out of people. That's how George Washington died, by the way. Ha ha. They bled him to death. He was sick with something, and they just kept taking blood out of him because they thought that would help. Actually, it doesn't. It killed George Washington, and it has killed many people over the years. So the idea that they couldn't explain so many things, so they just said, hey, the reason why that person is, addicted, or not addicted, but can't go into the sunlight is because they're a vampire. Kill them quick. Actually, no, they had porphyria, but it was a disease they didn't understand. So possibly that was a reason why it has continued on, right? Or anemia, they didn't understand that it was just a blood disorder. How about this? The features characters with serious emotional range, right? I mean, think about this. You can have vampire stories that are romantic. You can have vampire stories that are scary as heck. You can have funny vampire stories. I've never seen it. It's on my list. I'm going to, but apparently there's a comedy called Vampires in Brooklyn or Vampire in Brooklyn. It's got Eddie Murphy in it, of all things, and he's a vampire. I want to see that. So it's funny as well. So you have humorous ones. In fact, if we had a chance to watch it in class, there's one called Once Bitten. I may have shown it to you. It's Jim Carrey's, one of his first movies when he was a teenager. It's a funny vampire movie. It is not scary. They run around and kind of like laugh at each other. If we didn't get to watch it in class, watch it and see what I mean. There are cute vampires, right? Your Hotel Transylvania, My Babysitter's a Vampire, sexy vampires, deadly vampires, like, awful, horrific ones. So there's a huge range of emotions that these characters can play, which also keeps it wildly popular. You can go so many different directions with it, right? Okay. If you're going to go big picture, make sure you finish it by linking it to your thesis again, right? The idea that, vampires are part of whatever it is that you went with the romantic tension, or it started as science. Just bring it back to your thesis that is the reason why the legend has endured. Just make sure you're not doing it in the same way you said in introduction. If you said that they have endured and thrived, don't say endured and thrived again. Say something different. Say the vampire legend certainly has continued and will continue on. Just say it a different way. Use different words. Use the thesaurus if you need it on Google. That'll help you. I'll also help you if you need it with that. Last thing, guys and gals, if you have to, if you have to just restate your ideas, your main, just don't give any details. There are many reasons why the vampire legend has endured. It's because of their, sexuality and the violence and the gore and the interchangeability. That's boring to do that because we've already heard all that in your essay. But if you have to do that and you do that, just don't give any real details or facts. Certainly no quotes. Okay. But that's another idea. And then, of course, make sure you link it back to your thesis at the end in different words, right? Don't say the same thing again. Say it differently. All right, here's some do nots, and then we're done. Do not just simply copy your introduction. Please don't copy and paste your introduction and put it down at the bottom. Please don't do that. Okay, cool. Don't ever do that. Don't focus on any points or details from your essay. In other words, don't give in your conclusion. You don't then go back into detail about something that happened in Dracula. That's only for the body of the essay. And you certainly don't give any quotes from Dracula to prove what you're trying to say in your conclusion. Again, you've done that in the body. This is just the big idea again, the big picture ideas. This is not, you're going back out into the funnel. It's basically another way of saying it, but you're not staying very small in with details and facts. No quotes. And I wouldn't even mention your sources again if you didn't have to. Don't apologize in any way. I may not be an expert, but this is what I think, or this is just my opinion. Some people might have a different opinion. Some experts might disagree. No way. Everything that you have just said is factually correct, and that's just the way it is. So you're not going to say, I might not be an expert. You're not going to say anything like that, or this just might be opinion. No. You're not going to discuss any new details that were not mentioned in the paper. Guys, gals, if you didn't talk about church connections in the essay and give examples of church connections, like from Dracula, using the Bible or using the cross or the holy water or the host, by the way, those are all good ideas. If you didn't do that, then you can't talk about church connections in the conclusion, right? So just make sure you don't give any new details or go into any new ideas in your conclusion. It has to be something that was spoken about or given reference to, examples of in the form of quotes and samples and details. And I guess I said examples from in the body, it would have happened. So no new details. Don't explain what you're going to do or what you did. I have just told you about vampires and why they're this way. I know that. I read the essay. Please don't tell me what you did or what you're going to do. Now I will finish or conclude this essay. You don't even have to say the words in conclusion. We know it's the conclusion. It's the last paragraph. So you don't have to. You can say in conclusion, but don't say now I will conclude this essay or I have just told you about. Please, oh please. And again, last thing, I'm going to just finish it. No evidence or quotations in the conclusion. That's all body of the paper stuff. You're just talking big ideas and linking it to your thesis, and then you're done. Nice job. Now, time out. Don't go. Stay. Please. When you're done with your conclusion, you're not done with your essay. Oh, no, no, no. Now it's time to go through it several times to make sure you have done everything correct. Are the citations correct? Make sure that each and every citation is correct. Please, oh, please. Is your spacing correct, right? Is every paragraph indented, right? Is there no space? You don't want to have extra spaces between paragraphs. You just indent, right? None of that. Is it all on the left? Make sure you highlight the entire paper, put it on the left, right? Highlight the entire paper. Make sure it's Times New Roman. Highlight the entire paper. Make sure it's size 12. Highlight the entire paper. Make sure it's double spaced. Again, no extra spaces between paragraphs, right? It should all be the same. Double space between each sentence. I know it's a new paragraph because it is indented. Guys, gals, is your works cited page done? Take a look at I give you resources and references for doing works cited. Please make sure your works cited page is correct. Ask me for help if you need it, of course, with any of these things, or hopefully you have you had done that or are doing it now. Is there anything left? Oh, yes, obviously. Make sure it's just correct. No, your grammar has to be perfect. There should be no problems, nothing misspelled. Right? Everything capitalized. The punctuation is perfect. I mean, think about your citations. There should be no end punctuation in your citation. Your quote should end with the quotation marks. Then there's a space. Then there's the parentheses. Inside the parentheses, you put the author, right? And the page number if you need one. Then you close your parentheses, and then you put your end punctuation. So again, you've spent all this time on this essay. You must edit it several times. Think of a chef. A chef doesn't just whip up some food and pass it out. No, no, no. They taste it, hopefully with different spoons, right? You have a whole different side. You did one taste, boom, throw that spoon in the sink. Then another taste, ooh, it needs more salt, oregano, boom. Same thing with your essay. Make sure you check it many times. Have somebody else check it. Have another English teacher that you have known in your past check it. Have your mom check it. Everybody and anybody. And you check it yourself. Excellent job, ladies and gentlemen. Really nice. I look forward to reading it. Have a great day.